Welcome back. We're going to talk about equipment and solutions regulations from Chapter 13, Section 2, Preventing Accidents and Injuries. So we're going to be talking about how to stay safe, particularly in the healthcare field, and how we do that. As you're going through your schooling, I think this is going to be more pertinent for you on a personal note that a lot of this is going to deal with electronics or specialized equipment, maybe in a lab you might be able to relate to. Okay, I found an interesting video, and it's basically about OSHA violations at their best, and I thought I might show you a couple minutes of it. It's kind of comical. You can kind of see where they go wrong from their safety measures. Boom. I think that's enough of that. But those are mainly construction bloopers, but we'll talk more about it in a medical sense. But ultimately, there's certain safety protocols that are set in place for a reason. Okay. In construction, they're falling through roofs, they're falling off of boards. Okay. In healthcare, we basically injure ourselves, our coworkers, and or the patient, neither of which is good. So, with equipment and solutions, all right, do not operate or use any equipment until you know how to use it. Okay, some things in medicine requires medications, sharps. Maybe you don't know there's an ejectable needle in this EpiPen, right? I've seen many people accidentally stab themselves with a needle with an epinephrine autoinjector, and then they don't feel so good when they have a big blur of adrenaline rushing through them. So, but they wish they would have waited for somebody to tell them how to use the EpiPen. All right, make sure you read and follow operating instructions for all pieces of equipment. All right, do not operate any equipment if the instructor or the immediate supervisor is not in the room. Okay. That's more for school. 4, let's see, report any damage or malfunctioning equipment and make no attempt to use it. Okay, so in some places they use a lockout tag system for damaged electrical or mechanical equipment because I don't know about you, but sometimes you look at an electronic and it looks fine on the outside, but on the inside it's definitely not okay. But there's usually some sort of notification system where they identify the item is broken and if there's any potential hazards. Don't use any frayed or damaged electrical cords unless you want a new hairdo designed by electricity. I wouldn't do that. So if it's supposed to have a third prong, that neutral ground, and it's been broken off, probably shouldn't use it. Okay, that third prong is used for grounding. That's what takes care of any surges, and it equalizes the amount of electricity that's going through the device. So if it has a power surge and too much electricity is going through it, tends to pop or blow or catch on fire or something like that. Okay. All right. Never handle any electrical equipment with wet hands or around water. Water conducts electricity wonderfully. Wonderfully. You don't want to get the electricity running through you. Okay, you'll find this is very true when you use AEDs. Your patient should not be in water. And you should not be standing in water while you use it. All right, store all of your equipment in its proper place. If you have unused equipment, it shouldn't be left in a patient room, a hallway, or a doorway. You don't want anybody to trip over it. You don't want to lose it. You don't want it to get broken. Observe all safety rules while handling any equipment. Okay. And that can change based off of the actual equipment you're using. All right. Read the MSDSs, material safety data sheets, before using any sort of hazardous chemical solution. So, in college, I was taking chemistry classes, and I had a lab partner. He was kind of a doofus, and he was working in the hood, which is the area that has adequate ventilation when you're working with chemicals, so you don't inhale it, and hopefully you don't get it in your face. Well, homeboy was not that bright, was utilizing high molarity acids, and I don't know where he got a syringe from, but he was squirting it, and wasn't wearing his goggles. The hood was up, and he managed to get acid in his eye. And he runs over to the sink and rinses it, and it goes into the other eye. He wound up being okay. He had some damage to his eyes, but he really didn't follow the lab protocols where he was supposed to wear his goggles. I don't know why he's using a syringe with acid, and why he didn't have the hood down, I have no idea. But nevertheless, there were safety rules there in place that he blatantly ignored. So he got acid in his eye. All right. Never use solutions from bottles that are not labeled. I gotta tell you, one clear liquid looks like another clear liquid that looks like another clear liquid. Okay, it's very difficult to tell the difference between things if they're not labeled. Whenever you go to use a solution, whether it's a chemical, whether it's hazardous or not, all right, make sure you read the label of that bottle at least 3 times. Read it before use, read it during use, and read it after using. All right, sometimes you may misread it once or twice and you may have grabbed the wrong solution. This is true in pharmacology. When you start looking at medications, you will have to look at it 3 times to make sure that you have the right medication. Don't mix solutions together unless you're told to do so, right? Unless there's some sort of indication that it is what you're supposed to do, don't just start mixing things. Don't be the mad chemist that decides to create mustard gas. Okay, that can happen out of just household cleaning products. That's poisonous. You can die from that. Okay. Some solutions can actually be poisonous or cause severe injury. So you want to avoid any sort of solution contact with your skin or your eyes. Try not to inhale any fumes from a solution and use only as directed. All right. Make sure you store all of your chemical solutions in a locked cabinet or closet. Make sure you follow all the manufacturer's recommendations. So if it's not recommended by the manufacturer to use it for something, or it's somewhere where it shouldn't be, say if it's in a room that gets really warm and it really is not a chemical that should be heated past a certain point, you should probably change what you're doing. So, make sure you dispose of your chemical solutions according to the instructions on the MSDS. Okay, that's going to be kind of your guide as to what you can and can't do with that chemical. That MSDS sheet is a key to safety. All right, if you break any equipment or spill any solutions, make sure you report it immediately. Okay, sometimes you can't just dump things down the sink. Maybe you can dump it down the sink if you are able to rinse it with lots of water. Maybe you need to stabilize the solution before you dispose of it. Maybe some solutions need to get soaked up with some sort of solid before it can be disposed of, right? You can't just go and dispose of it by soaking it up with towels and throwing it away. Because you don't want somebody else to come in contact with that trash and get injured because you threw away something that was hazardous and they have no idea that it was hazardous. So, equipment safety processes and procedures aren't always the most exciting, but they're very important, very important. I've seen many a time where people have lost limbs or eyesight, lost their lives because they didn't feel the need to follow proper safety protocols. And there's no reason why any of you should be harmed by blatantly not following safety protocols. So, if you have any questions over this section, please let me know. Email me, bartonj@dearbornschools.org. Thank you.